Yeah, I changed the music up on that 30-second thing.
Well, thank you for having me.
Hello. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming back. Uh,
I'm happy to be back on the Patriot podcast. And hey, we already have our first commenter. Welcome, Angel D.
Hi, Angel. I can't believe she survived last night for almost 4 hours in a live stream.
I heard the YouTube streets were live last night. I just couldn't. I could only make it so late.
She
Wait,
said I
you
literally
literally
just
just
woke
woke up.
and yay.
Well, good. You can have some coffee. You can hear about some American politics. And Robert and I are trying really hard to be a balanced podcast, bring both sides of the story, and just have it be a welcome place for people to have talk
Yeah.
and debate about things. Because I think that there's a market for that. There's just not a ton of places out there where you can talk, have dissident, on both sides.
Oh yeah. Especially being friend, especially being friends with Carl, and we've all seen exactly how he goes about his podcast. She goes, "I'll try to stay professional and not act like a dumbass in chat."
Angel, I made just on the subject of Angel D, I made a short about you and I am too afraid to upload it because it's like me telling Robert he better not steal you from me. It's so cute. But then I'm like, maybe I shouldn't make that public. But maybe we'll release that later today. I'll tag you if I do.
I changed my profile pic for Kiki.
Oh, I was going to tell you that earlier. Your profile pic is beautiful. You should display one of her comments so we can see it on the big screen. Isn't that pretty?
Yep. Uh, I think it was kind of funny in chat last night. You have Soul Child who has the close up of her right eye, and you have Colton Covered who has the close up of her the left eye. And Colton Covered made the comment, Soul Child, if we put our icons next to each other, that'll be a set of eyes.
I thought it was so cool that the Maven was up there. I love the Maven, and it's nice to see her talking about true crime again. I love, her game shows and everything, but nice to hear her talking about the true crime. Nice to see Nina, warning label Nina up there. Love hearing her opinions. It was a good show. We're talking about Robert's other channel. If you folks don't know about it, definitely go check out his channel. He was reviewing some newly released audio transcripts from the Idaho 4 case. It was a great live.
Yeah, so yes, it was. Yeah, and I think Angel was in there when AR dropped the bombshell on me, and Angel, I told my wife told my 9-year-old this morning. My wife goes, "Do I get to see that big brown doggy?" I'm like, I'm like, yeah. She goes, "I get to see Aspen." I'm like, yeah. I said, but there's also Bayou and Xander. She goes, I know, but I love Aspen more.
How come your daughter doesn't know my dog's names? I'm really sad. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I told you that your dog's name was Rocco, and she goes, "Oh, Rocco's Modern Life."
Oh, she knows Rocco's name. That's so cute.
Yeah,
Angel Thief.
she watches a lot of cartoons. If she's not watching cartoons on DirecTV, um, she streams cartoons on on Max and Netflix. The only show she does not like on Netflix, guess what it is?
What?
Squid Game. She hates that show.
Oh, well, I think at 9 that would be a petrifying show to watch for me. If at 9 I wouldn't. I don't like watching Squid Games now. I couldn't finish it. It was just too dark for me.
Yeah, because I was flipping through Netflix the other day, and she goes, "Daddy, Daddy." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do not click on that show." I said, "I'm not. Why?" And she goes, I hate that show. And I'm like, well, don't worry. I'm like, Daddy and you are mutual on this. She goes, oh, you hate the show too? I'm like, yeah. She goes, me and my daddy hate Squid Game, and she's bopping her head. But yeah, she sat there yesterday and binged watched Despicable Me 1, Despicable Me 2, Despicable Me 3, and Despicable Me 4.
So you know all? Have you memorized all the Despicable Me's now, all the lines from it, or
No,
were you not
uh,
watching?
um, man, I've seen them all. Like, yeah, I've seen them all. Uh, the only thing is, this little girl will sit there and watch the same movie over and over and over and
That's what I'm
like,
talking.
huh, like
That's
I
what I'm
yeah
talking about.
yeah, and yeah, we upgraded our TV in the living room, so we're at a 50-inch Vizio. So she got our 43-inch Vizio, and it's in her room. So, and she has the little DirecTV satellite in her room, and the little Wi-Fi box that like we have the main box in the living room, and then for like the other rooms they have the little mini DirecTV box, like looks like a little Wi-Fi box.
Yeah,
So
I know
she'll
what you mean.
she'll sit there and yeah, it was this is weird. She'll sit there, she'll watch cartoons on her laptop at the same time she's watching cartoons on her TV, and she'll look over at her laptop, watch that for a little bit, look up at the TV, watch that for a little bit, turn back to her laptop, watch that for a little bit, and I finally told her, I'm like, pick one. I said, pick one thing or the other, and and watch your TV or watch your laptop. I'm like, don't be sitting there watching them both with it. And she goes, but Daddy, it's fun.
It sounds like fun. Like, you know how people like, come on, don't you relate to watching like multiple games at the same time? Like it's like the little kid version of that. Angel D has a comment about her 7-year-old in the Squid Games too, if you see that there. My
My
7-year-old has never seen, oh, sorry, Robert, you go.
my 7-year-old has never seen Squid Game, obviously, but he has the plushies of the guards and plays the red light green light game on Roblox. But no one gets shot in the Roblox version though. LOL. Oh yeah, we've already decided Caitlin's not gonna get on Roblox, because like the profanity and stuff these other little kids tend to spout on Roblox. So, and she got grounded for like at least a week from electronics because she flipped a little boy off on the bus, and she
What did
got
the
in
little
trouble.
boy do? Why'd she flip him off?
Uh, just no reason. And
Oh,
the bus driver told her, "Hey, you don't do that on this bus." And she goes, "Sorry." She goes, "Sorry." And then I get her off the bus. As we're walking away from the bus, she goes, "Not sorry."
oh my gosh, that
Hey,
little.
AR.
Oh, AR is here. Thank you for joining us for Robert's Patriot podcast. I'm trying to help bring dissidents to the conversation. So, what is our first
But
topic of today, anyway, Robert?
well, I've been reading a lot on about Doge and everything. Supposedly, we're supposed to be getting $5,000 uh, checks, or uh, the Doge calls them uh, repayment checks, but I don't see it happening. Honestly, I don't.
I heard that too. I wasn't sure if that was like them making an announcement because I didn't actually read the announcement, or if that was them like saying this is the equivalent of what we could do with this money that we're saving. In
Yeah.
particularly, I think they were talking about the Social Security checks because that is one of the largest portions. larger than our national offense that goes, that our federal income taxes goes to. And Trisha, actually, from Echoes of Clarity, gave me a ton of information on that one specific thing. She said that there's something like some of the statistics she brought from Doge were like $4.5 billion in these payouts. And I'm not saying specifically Social Security, but several different types of social services. And 300-year-old people are collecting it. And I guess there's two. Well, first off, I don't want to talk your ear off. I have a couple more points, but I'll toss it back to you so I'm not stealing the floor. Because I want to hear your response to that, because I don't know what the other side is.
Well, I'm actually pulling up the Doge website right now.
Oh, good.
With everything that they basically either dismantled or wants to dismantle.
So we have a couple of new people in the chat. Welcome to the conversation, Thomas.
Yeah. Thomas has been here before.
Aquarius too. Welcome, welcome everybody.
Okay.
It's a good conversation today on this. We all want to hear more about this.
Yeah. This is the wall of receipts, basically. If you can see that. Commodity Futures Trading Commission renew West Print subscription. This was uploaded this month. Value $21,000. Commodity Futures Trading Commission annual subscription, $255,000. And like right up here, top agency total contract savings. Like they've already dismantled the USAID. They want to, the ones that they want to dismantle is basically the USAID. The USAID, they dismantled the CFPB. They dismantled. They're going after the GSA now, as well as the Department of Education.
What's interesting is number 3, though, the Executive Office of the President.
Yeah.
Like, what wasteful fraud and abuse are they finding in the executive branch? Because technically speaking, a lot of these administrative offices, the oversight is supposed to be the executive branch. One of them is the FBI, which is interesting. I don't see the FBI on this list, but I see Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Really weird. This is interesting, huh?
Oh, yeah. And that's coming straight from the official Doge website. See, Department of Government Efficiency.
Estimated savings $55 billion, which is a combination of fraud detection and deletion, contract and lease cancellations, contract and lease. So some of these down there, like the blue, those were subscriptions, government subscriptions that toppled over $20,000 a year.
Savings if they were to cut the Community Futures Trading Commission. The savings on that would be zero. Community Futures Trading Commission, the savings on that would be $60,000. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which they've already dismantled.
Yeah, the people from my state representatives, because it was started by a Congress or a senator from Massachusetts, and it was her baby, it was her program, and so I've heard a lot about that one, and it's very hard to say because that agency has a lot of good, but you wonder, like, do they have ulterior motives? It seems to pick and choose. I don't know. But yeah, I've heard a lot about that one, and it is striking to see how much money they're saving.
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Political Pro. They're trying to cut the funding to Politico, and the savings on that would be $500,000. Washington Post subscription, From the CFPB, savings would be 103,000. Real estate.
That's crazy. Why are they paying that much money for subscriptions? I guess to have
Yeah.
the entire, I guess what it is, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like that they'll subscribe to the was it the Washington Post or the New York Post? So they subscribe to the Post,
Washington Post.
yeah, which is an incredibly slanted paper. And it sounds like that's like a government wide subscription. So the government cuts a check, and anyone in this department can have a free subscription to read their articles. I mean, I don't think we should be paying for that. And especially knowing that it's like a politically slanted paper.
Yeah.
This is interesting. This is really interesting.
Yeah. And as far as the Department of Justice in Kansas City, they want to basically dismantle the DOJ in Kansas City, Missouri, and the savings on that would be $1,275,000. Um, General Service Administration in O'Fallon, Illinois, the savings would be 239,000.
Well, wait, when
General,
you say dismantle, they're not talking about eliminating the agencies. They're
no,
eliminating.
yeah, they're talking about eliminating the agencies.
So this is because I heard and you correct me if I'm wrong because you definitely follow politics more than me. I thought I heard an announcement from the Trump administration recently saying there's no reason to stop the level that they're spending now. They're going back and they're seeing where the fraud is being committed and they're stopping that. But they're not looking to change the actual program as they stand. I mean, I don't know about like all of them, like USAID, but I think the social services, they're not looking to, I don't know, you guys. This is a lot of stuff. Oh, Trisha's here. She knows a lot about this subject. So, oh, Too Fast is here too. We should
Yeah,
display
I
some
saw
content.
too. Yeah, I saw Too Fast come in. Okay. And they also have the Doge meme coin out too.
Is it a bit, is it like a crypto?
Yes.
That's
Um,
cool.
yes, it's like a crypto, and Elon. The last time there was an audit at Fort Knox was like back in the 80s, and Elon Musk is wanting to audit Fort Knox, and he wants to basically, the way he put it in an interview, he wants to devalue gold and and combine it with cryptocurrency.
I have an opinion on this, and I think I'm going to probably split the room, but I have feelings about crypto, and I think that it, in a way, helps a smaller or small, helps people diversify their funds with something extremely volatile that, like, say, okay, like a larger corporation isn't going to put their capital into crypto because of the volatility. It's built-in feature. It's not a bad thing. What it means is the average
Yeah,
person can put their money in a place where it's not going to depreciate and it's less volatile for him. Because if you look at crypto, like over the last 4 years, like Bitcoin, your money it would have gone up by like 60%. But a large business like Walmart, they're not going to put their capital in something like Bitcoin because of the volatility that's built into it. So I think that I don't know about devaluing gold because I believe that gold is a great way to protect. I think the dollar should be backed by gold personally, but I don't know if
yeah,
that's a possibility. But I can see where the American dollar has a problem because a lot of the largest businesses like Microsoft and Facebook and stuff, they shed their capital every year, and it's a complex issue. And it used to be that people wanted to keep their capital in the American dollar, but that's not happening anymore. And I don't know. I'd love to hear the chat's opinion on that because crypto, if you know anything about it, is a really interesting subject. And I do think that it plays a role in the American dollar. And I think I've just gone off subject too much, but
I just came across this too. Federal regulations by agency, Department of Treasury. It says words. Uh, 14.552 million sections of regulation, 16,000. But if you look up here, code for federal regulations is 98.68 million.
Words, total words,
Well,
total sections of regulation.
year 2010, year 2011, 2013, 2014, 84. Now, see, we're right here, and it's like at 98 and 98.548 million.
It looks like it went up by about 20% after the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you look at that right there is 2020.
Uh,
By regulations, I'm talking about, you guys. Yeah. So like from like say the beginning of the chart, you got like a 20% increase, right? Starting, in those 4 years preceding
yeah.
COVID. I don't know, 2024 is like nuts. What's the deal with that?
Well, if you look up here, unconstitutionality index. This number is of agency rules created by unelected bureaucrats for each law passed by Congress in 2024. 2010, there was 16 rules per law. 2011, there was 32. 2012, there was 23. It like fluctuates from year to year of rules that were rules and laws that were made.
Hold on. So this is the number of agency rules created by unelected bureaucrats. So these are the number of rules, and that's kind of interesting. So the it looks like the language increased. So but the actual rules went down. That's
well and now see right here is 2020 or not 2020. The rules was 3,035 and then the laws were 177. Well, if you look down here in 2010, the laws were 221. But see, it fluctuates from year to year.
Laws versus rules is I see what I'm not looking at it.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. 2025 looks like.
2024, you have 176 laws. You scroll down. A little more agencies.
BlackRock is purchasing and controlling stock in Bitcoin, but that's not where the value will be soon. Value will be found in those backing with gold. It can't be produced. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and
yeah, see, and we'll see just like Carl stated to me over the phone yesterday. Bitcoin is so unpredictable and so volatile. It can rise and then it can just abruptly crash.
That's the beauty of Bitcoin. It's a feature. People think that's a bad thing, but it's a built-in feature, because this is the thing about BlackRock is they can do that because they have ungodly amounts of money in this world. But I mean, well, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't really know. I'm just a housewife. But what I'm saying is like it's so volatile, the swing of how much like your wealth would go down if you diversified into it. If you weren't diversified, if you put like a significant amount of money in it, you would watch your money. I don't know. It's not like a stock. It doesn't stabilize itself. I don't know.
No. I mean, like you just stated, it is not a stock.
It's a gamble.
But there's a lot of people out there who view it like a stock and think that if they keep putting money into it, then it'll rise and make them millionaires. But a lot of people who do that, I mean, yes, do have success and do become quasi rich from Bitcoin, but there's others who do that and lose it all.
Absolutely. And I think what Too Fast is saying is like the pump and dump or whatever they're talking about when you see like these kids, these like 15-year-old kids making like $50,000 on Bitcoin in one afternoon. So
Yeah,
that's
and
where you
just
make
like
your money. I'm sorry, Robert. I'm
just like
hijacking.
Tupac just said, that's why that's where you make your money with it. Chinese financing: buy low, sell high.
I just recently started getting really interested in Bitcoin. I was really into options for a while too. Did you ever look into that too? That's an interesting, but this is not what this show is about. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Okay, the next
Thomas says,
Tonka says,
uh, purchased Bitcoin at 260. He purchased Bitcoin at 265 a few years ago. So $265 a few years ago for Bitcoin. Well, see, here's the thing. Also with
that is,
Bitcoin, you have these meme coins who just basically don't last long. You have all these people who 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 invest a whole lot of money in meme coin, and then meme coin crashes and it disappears. That's why they call it a meme coin.
I mean, yeah, and I think, I don't know, like I said, I don't know that much about it, but I also know like there's another part to it, which is there has to be like a secondary company like Alamea. When I think of like Alamea, when it comes to that, like Sam Bankman Fried, it doesn't have
Yeah.
something to do with the wallet and how you like exchange the cryptocurrency and like, never mind. I'm looking up what Bitcoin is right now for Thomas.
Oh, you're looking at Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And
So
well,
anyway,
see, like, okay, this just got posted. Um, Judicial branch instructs employees to ignore mass Doge email.
who told them to ignore it?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Thank you, Tika. There was another comment. Precious metals comment.
The federal court system told staff on Saturday evening to ignore Doge's latest message, which demanded that federal employees submit a bullet list documenting the recent activities. Multi-staffers across the judiciary, including federal judges, received the Doge message on Saturday. Sources told TPM the message was sent from an Office of Personal Management email address. In response to the Judiciary's administrative office, sent a message addressed to all staff titled OPM email about accomplishments. That message acknowledged that some judges of judiciary staff received the Doge message and told staffers that we suggest that no action be taken.
We communicated with OPM about this email. The message reads, on Saturday, Doge email marks another intrusion. The executive branch said closed off world to the judiciary branch. In this case, it featured the Trump administration telling judiciary employees, including federal judges, that they must report a list of 5 weekly accomplishments. Elon, I think that's great. Elon Musk said on social media that those who did not would face immediate removal. Now think about it. 5 accomplishments means 1 accomplishment a day. Anyway, it was an absurd situation. Wait, hold on. Elon Musk said on social media that those who did not would face immediate removal. Through the email sent to federal workers did not go that far. It's an absurd situation. An example of the reckless approach that the Trump and Musk have taken as they carry their demolition job targeting wide swaths of government. In this case, they have no legal authority. Well, what happened to it?
Hold on.
You can too.
Yeah, yeah, that's glitching. Hold on.
What do you think? I mean, I think like if I think that that actually would help me with my job. If like every day I had to come up with the accomplishment I had to report, and so it's just accomplishing a goal every day. I think that it probably could be small, like organizing the, you know,
Yeah, but
the
here's the
supplies
thing.
or something.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. Musk wasn't elected for anything. Yeah, he rants and he raves about unelected bureaucrats. He is an unelected bureaucrat,
That's true.
and a few of these agencies that Musk went after. Yeah, I did my homework on this. Three of these agencies that he went after were investigating him.
Really,
Yes,
that's
CFPB was investigating him over his acquisition of Twitter. Um, USAID was investigating him over the Neuralink. Yeah,
interesting. And what's the third one?
um, the CFPB was also investigating him over Starlink.
Starlink. Now, what was their issue with Starlink? Oh, I remember what it was. You said that it had something to do with elections, right? Was that what it was?
Starlink is basically
Satellite, right?
a satellite, and the reason why he wants to go after NASA now is because of SpaceX. You've had all those accidents with his rockets, some blowing up on the launch pad, some blowing up right before they hit space, and you had all that debris that was raining across the sky, from his rockets. So, him saying it's about government waste. No, it's not about government waste. He's going after the people that was investigating him and his companies.
Okay, I do 100% see the conflict of interest there. The one thing is I would look closely at it because I do have a bias towards Elon Musk. So I will give, because I am loyal to, I'd give someone that I respect a chance to explain before I completely, but what I would say is somebody who works within the realm of government grants, such as Elon Musk, such as Donald Trump. These are the people who know how the system works. Just like if somebody's going to refine the IRS or help refine the IRS, it would be somebody who worked on a government level, like Trump, who worked with grants and loans and actually affected the economy in a large city, or like at NYC. I feel like some people like you or I, if we were asked to fix these systems, we wouldn't have the knowledge. Even if we studied for like 20 years, we might not have the knowledge how to move, change, or even how these systems work, because in its totality, we would never have been exposed to all of it. For someone like Elon Musk, who's actually gone through the process of building a rocket, funding a rocket, getting backers, things like that, like he might know where the problems are. And as far as NASA, yes, I understand their competition, but not necessarily. Like, isn't Elon Musk the one bailing NASA out right now? Didn't they
No,
like but they were unable to bring their astronauts home, and so they had to wait for Elon Musk to get up there in February to bring them
that
home.
wasn't Elon Musk. Elon Musk, SpaceX is the one that abandoned those astronauts in space. It was NASA
Carl and
who.
I always, but Chad, can you help me out? Can we just look it up right now? Because Carl and I always argue about this too. Why do
Yeah,
we have like two different stories here? Because I thought that NASA abandoned the astronauts and Elon was rescuing them, but they had to wait for Elon because he wasn't going up till February. Wait, wait. I think I will listen to the guy with the money over the guy in the corner handling the handing out dollar bills. That's a good. Wait, Musk wasn't elected. Neither was the national security advisor, but no one is complaining on who advises the president on national security issues. That's really insightful, actually. That's really insightful. And I personally, in my life, like I rely heavily on just the people around me asking opinions. It doesn't mean I necessarily absorb or take on their opinions, but I
You were
want advice.
right.
Okay, so let's just correct the record here.
Yeah,
Bring
I
it up.
thought it was NASA, but it was SpaceX. Uh, Echoes of Clarity said, I think Elon is weird sometimes, but he found $4.7 trillion was going to SSN that are 300 years old.
Yeah, and I did bring that
Angel
up.
D says clip that. Where I said you were right. She said clip that.
It happens once in a while, very rarely though. Robert's usually right.
Not according to my wife.
I think this Doge subject is really interesting too, like where the executive branch powers end and where they begin. I think the problem that I'm seeing when it comes to Doge and all these arguments are the places where he's cutting the funding are unelected departments and people and politicians. They're administrative offices. They were created by different branches of the government. So coming in and having people who aren't elected analyzing people
Yeah,
who aren't
but
elected seems like
here's the
apples and
thing.
apples.
Well, here's the thing though. Um, you got all these judges that's blocking his executive orders. Well, at the same time, you have Republicans in the House. Yeah. See, what Trump is doing is basically hence unconstitutional and illegal. He has to give Congress a 30-day notice before he fires anybody, and that's per the Constitution. His OMB director, Russell Vogt, who is one of the chief architects of Project 2025, stated in one of his little luncheons that America should come to the reality that we are living in a post-constitutional time. Russell Vogt never really liked the Constitution. He thought it was a hindrance because Trump signed an executive order here a few days ago to try to consolidate all power under him. But it's called the unitary executive theory, where Congress and the Senate have no say in what he does. And that's not how the Constitution was written out. The Constitution said that the executive branch and Congress and the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government. And the way I see it, this is not and I repeat, this is not a functioning government. It's a coup perpetrated by Trump and his loyalists. The only reason why he's doing all these mass firings of federal employees is so he can put his cronies in their place or his loyalists in their place.
Can I rebut?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is my take on what you're saying. So I will tell you, I was clutching my pearls 4 years ago when Biden came into the office and signed in 100 executive orders. And we were all like, oh my gosh, we've never seen anything like that. But then we learned how the process works, which is if you sign something in that happens to be unconstitutional, it's going to be challenged by these ultra wealthy political organizations that are orchestrating who we make president anyway. And so like Biden signed through 100 of them. So out of the 400 that Trump did when he first came in, 100 of them off the bat were just canceling Biden. And half of those orders that Biden wrote at first were dismantling the system that Trump had put in place because he would have needed Congress or the Senate to either defund them or change the law they had passed. So the only way that Biden could dismantle, like for instance, the immigration system was to write an executive order and do away with it. Think of all the money that Congress allotted for the wall, quote unquote, And for 4 years, it sat there rusting because an executive order was signed by Biden doing away with what the people had voted in 4 years earlier. So, I mean, it's definitely an argument whether executive orders is something we need to visit as far as its constitutionality. But as far as I look at it, maybe it's a loophole, maybe it's not, but it appears to be constitutional. It doesn't change the amount of money spent because the president gets in control of the purse strings. But there is another problem, which is when
Can I
the
rebut
Senate
that? The
when the Senate allots the money for the executive office, they have to spend it. So sometimes an executive order is to change the direction of some of that money coming into the executive branch. And I'll shut up now.
Congress controls the power of the purse. They're the ones that control the purse strings. The president has an obligation and a duty to spend that money that was already allocated from, like the Senate and Congress. What Trump did on day one was sign an executive order freezing all federal spending. Now, who was impacted with the federal spending freeze wasn't the super wealthy. It was everyday Americans like us. You have Head Start programs across the country who rely on, the federal funding and stuff. That funding for Head Start got cut off. So now the Head Start program is having to look to other people to help them stay open. Now,
can you tell me what Head Start is? Can you explain it to me so that I understand
it's where 4-year-olds go to school. It's like it's pre-K basically, pre-kindergarten. They call it Head Start. The funding for Head Start got froze when he froze the federal spending. So a lot of Head Start programs across the country are now looking to other people to help them keep their doors open. So you'll have a lot of 4-year-olds. Once that help runs out for them.
Robert, I will tell you.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on that, Thomas. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Thomas. I was opposed to the federal student loan debt. The Supreme Court told him to stop doing it. He bucked the Supreme Court and still was doing it. So yes, I do agree with you. Yeah, on that. Yeah, it was a horrible idea to forgive student loan debt.
You're taking people that will make $1 million more in their lifetime and asking the people who it's asking 60% of Americans to pay for 40% of Americans that are going to be making $1 million more than them in a lifetime. It's a handout and to the wealthy. And let me tell you, I didn't have a lot in student loans, but even when they said no, I was getting emails telling me they would forgive them. And I couldn't do it. When I sold my house, I used that money to pay off my student loans, and I wouldn't take any of that because I felt like it was wrong. Like I didn't feel like I had the right to ask somebody working really hard, like paying hourly wages to pay for my loan that you know what I mean? Like I took that on as a responsibility so that I could make more money in my lifetime. It seems so backwards to me that it even is a debate. But I do understand also that higher education is incredibly expensive, but that has to do with the government backing everything that they ask for, and other things.
Yeah, and as far as far as stop building of the border wall, I did some research on this, and Carl's did some research on this. The only reason why Biden stopped building the border wall, he hated Trump so much. His vow and his promise was day one, undo everything Trump did.
I know, that's what it seemed like,
including the building of the border wall.
Yeah, that's so intellectually dishonest. Like what kind of can you imagine, like that's how you base your decision, on spite and bitterness, not on facts and needs of your people, your disciple, whatever they are, disciples or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like just spite bitterness. That's gonna let me decide what my choice is.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Thomas. That was a very stupid idea to stop building the border wall. Um, but Biden did it out of spite towards Trump because he never really liked Trump, and because he couldn't remember during the campaigns, he's a threat to democracy, and what I'll never forget is when he did that speech in front of the blood red lighting, with those two Marines standing, military people standing behind him, holding what looked like candles. I'm not really sure what they were holding, but when I saw him standing in front of that blood red lighting, Biden, uh, first thing I thought was, okay, hey, look, we have a authoritarian standing at a
I
podium.
remember that. I remember that. Totally forgot about that, Robert. Remember AOC dressed in white crying?
Yeah. And she was actually being investigated by the House Ethics Committee here a couple of years ago because she showed up to the Met Gala wearing that white dress that said "Tax the Rich."
I think for it doesn't matter what her political opinion is. Like I do feel she came in hot and like she controlled the social media, she controlled the younger crowd, and like I mean people she got I do think that she got a lot of unnecessary pushback, but then I don't know what I'm saying also because she was also asked for it. You guys, this is only my third political podcast. I'm trying to not just say
Yeah,
everything that comes to my mind without a filter. I'm learning.
he said emotions are not valid reasons to violate presidential authority.
Exactly. Thank you. Well said.
Okay, Angel D, too fast. You missed my legit pick, so so I thought.
Oh, who is that, Angel? Is that your new boyfriend? Angel, so the rest of the chat knows before anyone else got here, Angel D had this beautiful profile pic, and it was actually a picture of her. And now she's changed it to the Chippendales dance there.
Wait, what?
Next.
Oh, I see it now. Okay, those were not Democrats, in my opinion. It was deep state.
Good point. Good point. Because here's the thing is like I don't know. Like there's definitely a difference between the core Democrat Party and extremists, and everyone knows it. And it's the same thing with the Republican Party. Because I don't want to disrespect, you know, in our local governments, in our towns, in our cities, we're not Democrats, we're not Republicans. We're either out there helping and making a difference or we're not. And so it doesn't matter. Like when we talk about our largest political figures, yeah, we separate them Democrat, Republican. But when you're voting for selectmen, when you're voting, you know, for the building department, who writes the code, your zoning board, you're not looking at Democrat, Republican. And remember that. Like, so you have to be able to like really know these subjects and not just label people. It's not going to serve you in the real world. Wicked
I have,
creature.
I have to answer this question. Echoes of clarity says, anyone know where I can read the release Kennedy and MLK stuff? They're not going to release it. Yeah, even though Trump wrote an executive order to release the RFK and JFK and MLK assassination, they're not going to release it.
Have they released anything? I thought they released
No,
something.
no, they have not released anything, because it's been declared as Hux, and you know, I can, I can, show you what Hux means. I can look it up real quick.
I like.
Basically, Hux means it's beyond classified.
Oh, I think we all know what that means, right? Yeah, Robert, you should bring it up. Trish, the chat is asking. Okay, so my take on this is like it has to be something to do with the government like an entire government agency like the CIA, because why else would they not be release it? At first they told us when everybody was dead involved, they'd release it. Well, like there's very few people involved that are still alive. Or you know what I'm saying? It has to be a government agency or something. Does it have something to do with the Bay of Pigs? Does it have something to do, what does it have to do with? Does it have to do with the taxation? Like he changed the whole tax code overnight. Overnight, our American economy had changed when Kennedy was a Democrat, but he was a fiscal conservative. And when he came into office, like there were a lot of people like doctors and professionals who would only work like 6 months out of the year because after a certain point, the dollar was taxed at like 90%. Kennedy came into office and lifted that overnight, changed the entire economy. And so, I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities of who would have been pissed at Kennedy, aside from, everything that was going on in Cuba and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you think about it as well, you had JFK and RFK involved with with Miss Marilyn Monroe.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
I have like the cutest picture of Marilyn Monroe and JFK. They're like in a limo. She looks like Marilyn Monroe. J. Edgar Hoover. Yes, now that's Thomas knows exactly what I'm getting. The J. Edgar Hoover was aware of the imminent threat to MLK and the Hoover files and everything. I don't know if that's part of like the Kennedy document. Okay. Oh, Twiz is here too. Wait, can you imagine if Trump hadn't moved his head slightly that rally? World would be a different place right now, in my humble opinion. Tonga says, there's always going to be some level of secrecy when it comes to the government. And it's so much to keep, I've got to move this mirror. And it's so much to keep we, the people, in the dark. It's to protect national interests. And I totally agree. Like, I don't think we need to know every single way that we're protected. Otherwise, so do the bad guys. But when it comes to places like the FBI, and which should be oversight from like the executive branch, like who's watching the watchers? Like, I don't know. I guess Doge now, right?
Yeah. Well, what I could find on was just basically just the executive order from Trump for the release of JFK, RFK, and MLK, and it's just basically his executive order. But I would have to get a hold of Carl to see the definition of Hux. Echo says the government is not my daddy or God.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, because I talked to Carl last night.
Our rights are given by God, not by the government. Is my sentiment as well.
Yeah.
Our rights are endowed by our Creator.
Yeah. The way Carl explained to me last night, Hux is basically is beyond classified and beyond top secret. The only way it would get released, the JFK, MLK, and RFK assassinations will get released. There's one individual that controls the release of these documents, and it's been that way for 50 years.
Is it in the National Archives? Is that where these files are? And then because the National Archives are like freaking, they are so powerful. So powerful.
Yes.
I mean, they're the ones that caused Trump to get his Mar-a-Lago raid. It wasn't the DOJ.
The files are classified as Hux, and they are kept in the National Archives.
That makes sense.
And there's one person who controls the release of these documents, and he's and one with one of them, if somebody dies that's associated with these documents, they are handed over to somebody else. and
Wow.
that person is already has is already stated, and it's in the bylines of the Hucks that whoever dies and there's no successor to that person, those files will be burned.
That seems like who's going to do the burning if they, so like my opinion, like those files, I thought files had to be looked at in a, what do you call it, a skift or shift
Yeah,
or skift,
a skip.
right? Right. And so like they're well, no, they're not electronic files because people have shoved them in their pants and brought them out. Like who wasn't that like who did that? What it was Biden. It was Biden. Remember
Yeah,
they found his Corvette?
that's when he was vice president.
Yep.
Carla says that the FBI released them recently. I'm going to look that up.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. By the way, while Robert's looking that up, I just want to say, we're really grateful for all the comments in the chat. It's just nice to hear your opinions, and we just appreciate your energy. Thank you for showing up. It's Sunday, and we know you could be a lot of places, so we appreciate your time and being here. And thank you to our mods as well. And
Yep.
Robert's channel is Patriot Podcast. For those watching on my channel, if you want to sub to him, he's got big things going over there. He has Carl. If you've never met him, he's really, really good at debating.
I don't think that they're going to have to they're going to have to release those files because somebody just admitted to.
No tattoos, eyebrows, no tattoos, and nip rings, no ankle monitors. To apparently they are. What are we talking?
Hitman speaks. I killed JFK after being hired by CIA. I remember his head rocking back and forth, rocking back as shot hit, but Trump files won't tell you that.
I thought we all knew that. I thought we had video of what his head did, because when I was a kid, I can remember like 2020 doing like specials on it and trying to replicate the trajectory and stuff like that. Wait, I decided I'm taking the weekend off of my normal responsibilities, so I'm just doing whatever suits me today. Good for you, Tom. No way it's true, in my opinion. It's a gross one. Carl is fun. That's right, Carla. You're always there when Carl.
And hey, look, it even shows.
Okay, let's look there for a second. So are these the places they found the casing? 1, 2, 3. I thought the controversy was like a bullet came through forward and then a bullet came through like sideways.
More than 6 decades on from his public assassination, debates continue to rage over the exact detail of JFK's death. President Donald Trump even signed an official order last month, which will see thousands of classified files opened up and made public. A statement alongside with the order spoke about how opening the files is being done for the families of the victims and the American people who deserve transparency and truth. Despite the new exciting conspiracy theorists across the globe, experts doubt that there will be any major revelations lurking in the archives that would change the accepted versions of the events. Official documents say JFK was shot in the head and neck by 24-year-old lone gunman whilst traveling in an open-top car parade in Dallas, Texas. Lee Harvey Oswald was later confirmed by officials as the shooter before he himself was gunned down on live TV by Jack Ruby in retaliation. Well, see, here's the thing, though. Jack Ruby has stated on his deathbed that the reason why he shot Lee Harvey Oswald was because the mafia put a hit out on Oswald because they thought that Oswald was going to squeal on them.
That the mafia was responsible for JFK's assassination?
Yeah, because if you think about it, okay, uh, Bobby Kennedy was the Attorney General, of the United States at the time his brother was president, and Bobby Kennedy was going after the mafia.
Oh. Oh yeah, Bobby Kennedy. I forgot about how outspoken he was at that time. It's not that I forgot. I forgot that I learned. Obviously, neither of us were alive at that time, but um I did want
Yeah,
to say my mother used to tell me she was in high school, I think, when this happened. It was 1968, right? Was it 1968 or
I
was
think it
this
was 63.
63? All right. Well, she wasn't high
Yeah,
school. Anyway,
November 22nd, 1963.
so like
What's
she
with
said
the month of
everyone
November and assassinations?
I don't know. I don't
But
know.
no, uh, my mom told me, well, my adopted mom, who was my grandma, when she was 14 years old, um, yeah, because she told and she kept the gift, for all of her 83 years on this planet, before she passed away. Um, when she was 14, she was working at this place that's well no longer here anymore. It's a parking lot now. It was called the Alice Hotel, and she was working at front desk at 14 years old,
Wow.
and she was being wooed by a very well-known gangster at the time, Mickey Cohen. and
Hmm.
and mind you, he was way older. He's like, at that time he was like in his 30s or 40s, and she was 14, and he would, every time he was in town, he would woo her by bringing her gifts and money, and she finally had to tell him one day, "I'm only 14, sir." And Mickey Cohen says, "Yeah, Mickey Cohen." This is according to my adopted mother. Mickey Cohen looked at her and stated, "So, yeah, I'm a mobster. I can do what I want." And she had the necklace that he gave her. She kept it, yeah, for all those years, and she kept it in like a little drawer in her jewelry box, and she kept it in the actual box that he had gave to her when she was 14. And I was like 16 or 17 at the time, and she said, "I want to show you something," because one of my favorite movies back then was called Mobsters with Christian Slater and Richard Grieco, and I used to be fascinated with mobsters when I was younger. And she took me into her bedroom, pulled out the bottom drawer of her jewelry box, pulled this old box out that had dust on it, and she said, "I've never shown you this, have I?" I'm like, "No, mom, you haven't." She pulls it out, opens it up, and just and she told me, this was back when she was like 75, and no, at 65 at the time. And she goes, she said, "I got this when I was 14 years old." I'm like, how? Because I mean, it was still sparkling, still brilliant and everything, like she never wore it, never touched it. And yeah, she said, "Do you know who gave this to me?" And I'm thinking, my dad. I'm like, and I says, "Did Dad give this to you?" And she said, "No." And she goes, "Mickey Cohen gave it to me." And I just kind of looked at her. I said, "Who's Mickey Cohen?" And she goes, he was at the time I was 14. He was one of the most well known gangsters or mobsters, as you like to call them, in American history. And I just kind of looked at her. I just kind of looked at her. I said, you mean you had a mobster chasing after you? And she said, yes. And I was 14. And I just kind of looked at her. I says, weren't you creeped out? And she said, yes, I was creeped out. But she said he was
But
very,
this necklace softened the blow. Like,
yeah.
I'm just
She said he was very, very, uh, not, she said an arrogant, but she said he was very elegant and um, very compassionate and this and that. And I'm like, so, Mom, what are you saying? Were you gonna get with the mobster? And she goes, oh no, 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 no. She goes, I was 14. She goes, my parents would have killed me.
and this
But
is why we don't let 14-year-olds work at
yeah,
poor kids. But like that's a cool story. She's like a mafia princess. The Gambino princesa.
well, no, that's what he called her whenever he
Gambino
would come into
princesa.
whenever he would come into the hotel when he was in town for the various mafia meetings that they had back then.
Hold on a
Um,
second. Somebody's saying they want to go back to JFK real quick. Hold on.
okay, hold on, let me find it.
It says Capri post what I can't post, only Robert can. But I
Okay,
did see there was
find
some
it.
really
Okay, there
insane.
it is. Jacqueline Kennedy said when she was asked to change her clothes, she refused and said, "Let me see what they've done." Paraphrasing, of course.
That just gave me chills, and I vaguely remember hearing something like that too, Carla.
Now,
Ugh.
I watched this Marilyn Monroe documentary a while back. It's no longer on YouTube because I fucking searched for it last night. There was this gentleman. His name was Raymond Straight, and I was messaging back and forth with him a few months ago before he passed away. He had a friend named David Otesh, and Marilyn Monroe's house at that time was according to one of the former police chiefs there in Los Angeles was was bugged so bad. Yeah, it was. They had her home bugged uh, because of all the interactions that she had with RFK and JFK. The FBI, uh, bugged her house. J. Edgar Hoover had her house bugged so he could learn any information because he was going at it with both JFK and RFK over something I can't remember, but they had her house bugged to learn information to see exactly what was going on. And Marilyn Monroe used to hang out with Sam Giancana. I don't know who you know. I don't know if you know who Sam Giancana is. He was like the main mob boss at that time, and Bobby Kennedy was going after Sam Giancana, and J. Edgar Hoover thought that if he bugged Marilyn's house and if he could learn some information, he could use that with Sam Giancana as a leveraging point to let Sam Giancana know exactly what Bobby Kennedy was doing.
The whole thing, I mean, you're like, you guys are all coming into this really interesting subject, which was how Marilyn Monroe was involved in politics, because people just think of her as this movie star, but she wasn't. You have to understand, she started in her early 20s. She became very wealthy. She became very powerful in the motion picture industry, even though when it came to putting her as a star, she didn't have all that power, but she had a lot of money and she knew a lot of people, and she started being a producer, which is why she married Miller or whatever his name was. But what I'm getting at is what she started doing was she started going to these political events, and allegedly she sided with the Communist Party, which
That's not true. Um, her and would how
I love Marilyn
how
Monroe. That's not like a slight on her. I love Marilyn
you know
Monroe.
no, I was gonna say how we've heard for like years and years and years and years and years since her death, it was a suicide. It wasn't a suicide.
I know. There were people there.
Yeah,
There's
her.
so
Yeah,
much evidence that an ambulance came.
yeah,
Like,
an ambulance came, and the one of the paramedics has recently come out in like back in the late '90s that him and his partner brought Marilyn back back from death, and her psychiatrist or psychologist at the time.
who was also her lover. Don't forget, both of her
Yeah,
doctors were also her lovers. And if you think that's Marilyn's fault, I'm telling you, that's like, I mean, it's not. This is disgusting. The people who are drugging her, to prescribing her medications, treating her for mental illnesses, they were also having sex with her.
yeah, and um, yeah, the Murray lady, her housekeeper, um, yeah, yeah, right after the paramedics arrived and they brought Marilyn back, and the paramedic witnessed this. Her psychologist or her therapist, or whatever he was, came in and pulled out this. The way the paramedic said, pulled out this large syringe with this large needle on it, and stopped them. Told them he would take it that he would take it from here, and this paramedic witnessed this doctor or therapist, psychologist, whatever you want to call him, take this needle and the syringe and jab it into her chest, and um, and he started to push, and the paramedic heard the sound of one of her ribs breaking.
Or
Yeah,
her breastplate, probably, or something. Yeah.
breaking, and he injected this stuff into her chest, uh, pulled
He
the
did
syringe
either.
out, waited like 2 minutes, checked her pulses. Okay, you're no longer needed. She's passed away. And the reason why uh, she was on her belly in her bed was to hide that injection point, because blood pool, whatever position you're laying, yeah, and if she was laying on her chest, the blood would pool, yeah, down towards her chest, hiding that injection point. And David Otesh's tapes uh, were confiscated by the FBI because it had incriminating stuff on there about JFK, about RFK and JFK. Yeah, Eunice Murray was her name. Eunice Murray came out on her, right before she passed away, which was back in the mid to late '80s. She passed away. She came out and said that she witnessed a verbal altercation that night with Bobby Kennedy. It was between um, Marilyn and Bobby, and it was caught on the tapes that David Otesh had put the security the wires in. It was caught on tape that they were arguing, and because she had threatened to come out, about Bobby and his brother, and Bob, and it was heard on the Otesh tapes that Bobby said, you better not do what you're planning on doing if you know what's good for you." And and she states to Bobby, she goes, "I don't give a crap who you think you are. I'm Marilyn effing Monroe." And the tapes, uh, the tapes picked up the sound of scuffling, in the pool house area, the sound of scuffling, and the sound of somebody saying, "Hand me the syringe."
Okay, I'm gonna stop. Okay, I've watched Marilyn Monroe's last television interview, and there's a few things that strike you about it. Like, people like to say her mental health was deteriorating, but what it looked like is somebody who's trying to put on a facade. It also looked like someone who was incredibly paranoid. She was making these weird, out of place It was really odd. But what I'm getting at is one of the things that this interviewer overheard off the record was she was saying the phone rang and the housekeeper's like, you have a phone call. And she goes, oh, if it's the Italian, tell him I'm not here, referencing Joe DiMaggio. Now, if you don't know the dynamic between
Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio, when she died, nobody came to claim her body. Joe
He
DiMaggio
did.
was like her second husband. He came and he said, I'm here to get my wife. And he buried her along with his son. They had a small private service for her, but her body was left. Nobody came for her. Now, before this happened, Marilyn Monroe was put into a mental institution. If you don't think this is where we get down to the Bobby Kennedy stuff. When Marilyn Monroe first started speaking out, she was put in a mental institution. And the only reason she got out, this is one of the most powerful, wealthiest, sane, in the entire world, one of the most famous people in the entire world, locked in a mental institution. Okay, against her will, not allowed out. This is way beyond the 70s. After a couple weeks, Joe DiMaggio came in, started pounding on the doors, and he's like, he wasn't even married to her, and he's like, let my wife out. And he was such a big celebrity, probably the only one with the celebrity that could rival hers. And he got her out of it. He wouldn't walk out without her. And he pulled her out of there. And if she had just like listened to him, you know what I mean? Like he was trying to pull her away from it. But you're right. She wasn't messing around. She was going after somebody.
Yeah, Echo said she knew secrets they didn't want her to know and that she was not okay with, in my opinion.
And then Tonka brought up the Bay of Pigs. I want to talk to you about the Bay of Pigs. If everyone's not familiar, like this was a chance for the people in, it's so awful. I hate talking about it, but the Bay of Pigs is a huge thing because the people who had come to Cuba when Fidel Castro took over power. And if I have my history wrong, I apologize, but after Fidel Castro took over the Bay of Pigs, all these people, these young men who had come to the United States after Fidel Castro took over, the American government got them all together to go invade the Bay of Pigs and try and take back Cuba. Now, the whole thing is that once they invaded, we were supposed to give air support and help them. And the U.S. never showed. And the reason they didn't show is because the Cuban Missile Crisis, is my understanding, is that there were all these Russian submarines or whatnot outside of Cuba because Cuba allowed them there. And Kennedy thought if he gave air support to the Bay of Pigs and followed through with the plan, it would start a nuclear war. So they never came in, and the Bay of Pigs was just a slaughter of all these patriotic Cubans who went back to save their homeland. It's really sad. It's tragic. And yes, I do believe that, like, that's what I've always heard, is the Bay of Pigs was the old timers before us always mentioned the Bay of Pigs when they talked about Kennedy and the CIA. Hey, beautifully broken.
I'm looking for something.
Yeah, did I get the Bay of Pigs information right, you guys? Drop it in the chat. Sorry to all my Cuban American friends if I got the story wrong. I mean no disrespect, but I'm trying at least.
Do you know they auctioned off her X-rays?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, CBS News. Instead of 3 X-rays of
Just
Marilyn
sell
Monroe's chest taken during a 1954 hospital visit, sold for $450,000.
Oh, my husband's awake. I just heard him.
Hi, hubby.
He's downstairs. He can probably hear you, Robert. Although he just found the Capri channel, so maybe he's watching Capri.
When did you find the Capri channel?
I was recommended to him. I did a video that got recommended to a lot of people. I guess they nailed it. What are you doing?
I was looking for Race Straight, the interview that he did because David Otash had called him up. He was over at David Otash's house because they were friends, and after dinner, they went into the den to drink some cognac, and this was when David Otash was still alive. Uh, David Otash asked him if he wanted to hear something, and he said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." So him and David Otash sat there for 8 hours, listening to audio from Marilyn Monroe's house,
Live or like recordings?
recordings,
So can you
and
imagine?
you could hear, one of the recordings you could hear her and Bobby Kennedy getting into it, and that's when she goes, "I don't care who you are, I'm Marilyn Epping Monroe." Does who watch Idaho, Twiz? Did you freeze up on me, Kiki? I guess I lost her. She froze up. Kiki. I hope everyone has a good day. I'm going to go ahead and end it now. I got to go do laundry and dishes before my wife gets home from church. Everyone has a good day. Peace. All right. You have a good day, Tonka and Twiz and Carla and Echoes and Thomas.